alone.
I know. What's that? City. They made the I in red. Clever. The City Museum in St. Louis is amazing. Has anyone ever been to St. Louis before? I have. I love St. Louis. It's great. All the zoo's free, the art museum's free, the City Museum is $15. But the City Museum is great. First of all, it's got a boring name. And you're like, what's that about? Is it a museum? Is it about the city? What is it? It's not really any of those. What it is there's an old shoe factory in St. Louis that was like all run down. It was like this huge, like 20-floor building. All these artists moved into it in like the 80s and the 90s, and they just kind of lived in there. And they just made all these big weird sculptures, like a whale the size of this room that you can crawl up through and crawl out of the blowhole through like Discovery Zone style tubes across the ceiling to other floors, and then like up these old factory chutes. And it's the most fun and dangerous place ever. And it's basically like a crazy playpen for adults that's not really safety proof. And you can climb around through all this stuff. It's really amazing. You should look up pictures of it sometime. I worked there. That was my second real job after I worked at a gas station for a month, and then quit it to go work in the City Museum. That was pretty cool. Okay. Does everybody have? What was your assignment? Oh, dang, sorry. What was your assignment for today?
4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. So, also, let's introduce all the groups to each other. Just say group name and power animal.
Dream team.
Okay, dream team.
Power animal, possibly a
Gerbil or hamster. Okay, you.
Well, I don't know our team name.
You
Just be Team A for Alex Nance.
Okay, so team A.
Okay, the A team. A team, way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
A team's up.
And our animal is most likely going to be a cat.
Cat. Okay.
They're just cats, but whatever. Also want to use a cat.
Okay.
They're intelligent, so.
If you're really allergic, I have an EpiPen.
No, I'm not that allergic.
Going to shock and start
No, just
choking to death. Okay. You too. Just Team
We're
Mary?
the Aries team.
Wait.
A-R-Y.
Team Mary.
We're the Aries team.
Oh, okay.
Team
M-A-R-R-I. Oh no.
Malaria.
Okay, Team Malaria, what's your power animal?
Okay, birds, right?
Birds.
I mean, my personal power animal is a solar system, but you.
Okay.
Huh?
For the project birds?
Birds, yeah.
Okay, cool. And then our lone wolf.
team solo.
Okay.
My schedule's too rough to like have a team.
Whatever.
I'm either
You
gonna
get the
do
freedom now. You don't have to deal with Alex. Always on your case. Right, Anna?
Nobody else has
She's
to
not here, so
party.
she can defend herself.
There won't be any explosions there.
either stray cats or worm composting or termites.
Okay, cool. Well, you're the last one to talk. You're first one up.
Whoa.
So I want everyone get like first row here. We're gonna do like so she's gonna present us. Should we do it frontwards or backwards? Should we have her do her 4, 3, 2, 1, or should we start the weird way and do like from the very specific performance to all of the things leading up to it? What do you guys want?
4, 3, 2, 1, and yell 4, 3, 2, 1 before each one.
Okay, cool. We'll do that then.
So 4, 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think we're gonna do 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, cool. Is
Uh,
it an actual Kirby?
wow, Kirby's are real?
The living
The Kirby.
Named after Jack Kirby, who is the famous American cartoonist.
Is Kirby really named after Jack Kirby?
I hope so.
Oh.
I don't know.
Hey, it's not like Kirby.
Hey, come here.
Oh man. Kirby's gonna suck up all your powers.
Oh no. Cool.
Okay.
Four.
Four.
Four! We need four sketches.
Okay, cool. So I have this homeless shelter for termites, which is, so we found out that termites can get led by blue pen because of some weird chemical there.
Blue big pens contain the same trail following pheromone that lots of wood termites use. So you can draw lines and they follow it around.
Oh no.
So I thought it'd be cool to have them have a pathway of like to simulate a soup kitchen. So like there'd be a little path and the termite would come in, and as it trips over like a sensor, there's like a huge like swinging like here's some food, like a soup kitchen kind of thing. And then the termite would get his food and then eat it and then go on his way. And whether or not that betters him is a commentary on homelessness and how we deal with it.
There you go. Keep going.
Cool. Idea number 3, shelter for stray cats. So the problem with stray cats is that they overpopulate by breeding because none of them get fixed. So there's like a really cool way to make like easy stray cat shelters. Yeah, that's like really cheap. And so if you sense there's a lot of activity or like pressure, like the blanket on the bottom, there's like a lot of cat activity there. It could, if it had internet connectivity, it could like get the GPS coordinates and email like a pet shelter, like, hey, there's a stray cat right here. Like, go and fix this cat.
Why not just have the thing fix the cat for you? Just a robot.
Can you imagine he's like stepping on a blanket and like,
Yeah.
So worm composting is really cool. These are the 3 and 4 ideas. So you just have like a bunch of like dirt and old food, and then you give them like red worms, and then they like decompose it, and then it turns into like really awesome fertilizer. The 2 biggest problem or like easy problems that come across is that it's not warm enough or not the right temperature, and it's not moist enough for soil moisture. So we have sensors that sense both of those things. So
And then what would you do back to it?
one idea would be like literally to have a system that has like a little lid that like either raises it or closes it, so like for the temperature adjustment, or like it has a little sprinkler system for the moisture adjustment. The next idea would be to make compost Pac-Man. So if you replace one of the sides with glass, and then say they're like filled with LEDs and like literal bananas and cherries, since they're red, that's like a totally different color. So if it senses that there's red, the LED.
You mean the worms are red?
Yeah, the worms are red. So if it senses red, then the LED for that section like lights up. Like the little dots on the Pac-Man board, like those are there. And then like little shelves or lines could help with aerating, which is a big deal in composting. And the output for that would just be like LED, like it would visually be like a Pac-Man thing.
Okay. Cool. That's 4 sketches, right?
Yeah.
Give us some 3 flow charts.
3.
3!
What's the best way to present these? Because they're really,
I don't know. Yeah, they're kind of small.
it's kind of what I told you about. Like, whoa.
Give us some.
I'll just talk through it really quickly. I guess.
Talk through it. What are we starting with?
Termite homeless shelter.
Okay. Termites.
Termite will start on the path, and then it can either follow the path or leave the path.
Okay.
If it follows the path, then it trips the IR sensor, then it's barraged by the spoon of food, and then nothing happens because homeless people remain homeless and hungry.
Oh,
If the
God.
termite leaves
Such
the
a
path,
biting commentary.
if the termite leaves the path, then it still remains homeless and
Oh.
hungry. No.
You have lots of rhetoric embedded in your flow chart. Still homeless.
For the Pac-Man composting, really there's only one path because luckily enough, it's like worms do their thing all around the box. They will eventually get to the fruit because they're hungry, or like some sort of like section where there would be a detection. So that would be sensed by some sensor. for movement, and then the LEDs light up. And then the overall output is the game of Pac-Man.
But how is it the game of Pac-Man? Are there ghosts going to eat the worms?
No. So there could be a score system at least that has like a little display and then it sends everything to that score. So that's possible. But
Okay.
I think there's a lot that can happen with that.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll just have you present a couple, just 2 flow charts.
Cool.
And then storyboards. Walk by and show the people
Here
all
is
your
the stray
storyboards.
cat shelter storyboard. Really, like some cat eventually, or some animal, which I'm really scared about. But some cat will go there and then they'll send an email. The flowchart for the packing composting would be, we have red worms, they will eventually get into a window of detection, and then the LED lights up.
I love this one.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Okay, and now perform for us.
Okay.
She is her object.
So this is the little termite dude. He's gonna go along some path, and then we'll pretend that this is the sensor. So what happens is that he comes around and he's like, man, I just have to follow this path because of no reason. And then it gets here and then it goes, whoop-ah, like a spoon of food or something like that.
So what's termite food?
What is termite food? Wood!
Wood.
A wooden spoon.
I guess you could technically like put sawdust in there. That'd be the same difference for that.
I don't know.
Mulch? I think the type of wood would matter.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I have not done
The internet knows.
Research. The internet knows.
But
Yeah.
I could make more commentary by giving it like non-nutritious.
More commentary.
And then whatever he does after that, I mean, there will be a path, so maybe he can go into the steps of some like city, town, like council hall, and just spend most of his hours there and just
That's where I
do
spend most
nothing.
of my days.
But yeah.
How does it know to go that way on the trail?
Instead of the other way, I guess there would be a beginning point and ending point. Like, it would,
How do the termites know that?
where it starts, there's only one way, like a point, I guess. So, like, if he starts here and it only goes there, like, if he's going to follow this path,
So
there's
you
only
just drop the
right?
the termite onto the point at the end, right?
Yeah.
Or is there a whole colony living there?
Oh, yeah, I totally was thinking that I would just, like, have, like, termites that are isolated and take them away from their home.
Do you know where you're gonna get the termites?
We found a lot of termites,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, so if you go looking around, so one other thing about critters in the wild, you are going to be presenting closer and closer to winter,
Oh.
which everything's probably still going to be mostly out in December, but you just be aware that things are going to start more hibernating and like disappearing or just dying off as the winter approaches. A lot of insects and stuff, the adults don't make it past the year, and so they just die, and it's little eggs that make it through the winter and then get reborn in the springtime. So if you're counting on that, just be prepared. But if you pry back the bark of a lot of trees around this area or logs, you'll find big colonies of termites running around all over the place. Cool. Critiques, people. Today, this isn't just presenting. This is going to be a critical session.
I really like the cat one, but I am worried about other animals getting inside of it. I think there needs to be some sort of like duration to it as well. So like if the cat like is staying the night instead of just walk in the box and
Yeah, yeah,
so that they would actually know like there's something there.
right.
Do you have an area where there are a lot of stray cats?
Home park. If anything, even Georgia Tech campus.
Yeah, the tower is just. Yeah, the Britain diagram is just.
Okay.
For the cat project, I feel that, so it's got some sort of input, there's a cat there. It's not doing anything that directly back to the cat to give feedback. It's giving feedback through a digital response that goes to a human, which is okay. But I feel that it's still not. So, one of the themes of this project 3 is going to be incorporating environmental factors. And you could maybe argue that the way where you place these, it's inherent, this is an environment that has all these stray cats. But I think it could be made more interesting if somehow it was, because you need to also take some sort of sense from the surrounding environment or do some sort of action to the surrounding environment as like a third party for this project too. And I think that could possibly make it more interesting, maybe add some of you like to add commentary to your thing, which is cool. And it would make it less just purely a tool, just utilitarian, and more of this kind of work that can also serve a function.
Cool. Is there a stronger piece in general? I know that all of them have to be worked on, but is there a stronger piece in general? You said that you liked the cat one the most.
I like the cat one, but I think it would be a little more difficult to execute in a short amount of time. So maybe I like the termite one too, with the spoon with the blue pen. I think that'd be pretty straightforward to do, just with the cat just feed the termite. And the termites.
So I recommend actually playing with the pens and the termites first.
Yeah.
One of the downsides to, like she's saying with the cats, is you're relying on just random cats for your project to work, and documenting it might be hard. I'm immune to rabies, but I doubt any of you guys are. I got my rabies shot. If you work with bats, you're supposed to get rabies shot. So there's other concerns like that, but I'm not too worried about that. The main thing is just that you're relying on these creatures that may have very different schedules than your own, and that kind of things. Worms are very used and studied in many home projects and many art projects because they're pretty easy to keep alive, keep going, and very heavily documented how to build lots of different home composting things to different results. There's also different weird stuff you can do with worms other than just have them eat stuff. You can kind of control where they go with heat and moisture amounts. Like, have you ever seen it rains, all the worms come up, kind of thing. So you can kind of direct worms by adjusting moisture levels. There's also things, weird stuff like, worm castings? Anybody know worm castings? So there's something like you have your worms in your compost. You dump all the compost onto a big screen, kind of like a silk screen or like a thin wire mesh. The mesh is exactly the right size between the holes that a worm who has pooped can go through, but a worm that has not pooped can't go through. It's too fat. So what happens is all the worms want to crawl down. You just dumped all the compost with the worms on them. So they all start crawling down. And while they crawl down, they all, they're basically you're straining the worms. They strain themselves. And they leave this super rich nutrient goop at the top. And that's kind of an interesting phenomenon. And there could be things you could do where There's people who, a side project, people who use paper wasps, and paper wasps will, if you capture a colony of them, they'll get paper or food or like wood material from wherever they can. So there's people who used like colored paper, and the wasps make these like beautiful colored nets, or like even comic book papers, and they have like comic book colored nets. But so that you could do things where you feed the worms different colored foods, you somehow dye at different days, and you see them like make these cast-in crazy paintings of worm poop. Things like that, working with animals' constructions, even if this is kind of a very base construction of pooping, can be very rewarding to work with, because you end up with some sort of static result that's a result of this process that you can point to. For instance, that was a strong point of kind of her flowers at the end. You have this nice static thing where the process is visualized and crystallized within some sort of static result. So that's something to think about for everyone. Yeah. So I don't know. They all need more working and fleshing out. Cool. Any other last questions or critiques?
The worms is my favorite. I want to do worms.
Worms is cool. There's so some of the one of the ladies, Amy Youngs and Ken Ronaldo, who are from Ohio State University. Is anyone planning on going to grad school, by the way?
Maybe.
Maybe. Our class has been solicited from Ohio State University. I think it's OSU. They have a really cool art program, and it's headed by two of these people who are going to try to be guest critics for your final projects in here. But they've solicited our class because there's not many other classes that do works with animal art and digital technology. So if anyone's interested in their program or anything, let me know, and I can put you in touch with them. But you'll also probably see them at the end of the semester anyway. But anyway, Amy Youngs does a ton of work with worms. Makes all kinds of worm stuff. You go to Instructables, look up like a worm composting thing. She's the one who has the main ones on there. It's good. There's all kinds of cool stuff with worms, and a lot of cool stuff that can be done with worms. Cool. Team Dream team. 4. I think we're gonna do it like this. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So the 3 we're not gonna the flow charts. We're gonna be. It's more for you to plan out your factors.
Okay. Hey guys. So our first sketch was actually talking about worms, and we figured out like that they go different depths into the soil based on the temperature. So if it's like extreme heat or like extreme coldness, they're usually like farther down, and then when it rains, they go to the top because like they can move across the surface of the soil because it's like moist and flat around, I guess. So that's why you see when it rains. So our sketch one was test the worm's location, its depth in the soil, and then our output would be like if it's really far down, we would like sprinkle like water on the top to like kind of mimic rain and see if they would come back up.
How are you figuring out where the worms are in the soil?
I guess like kind of like the infrared thing, like to test the depth, like if we had them at different levels to see which ones would be triggered.
But they'll be in dirt. So how will you see through the dirt?
Use my compost box with me.
That's a good way to compost it.
It'd be an interesting thing to think about in general, because I don't know if that many people
Use
do
a
that
glass
stuff.
box.
Glass box.
Yeah, but they can be like in the middle.
It could be in the middle, but it'd be
Yeah.
better than a normal box.
So I mean, you could think about how ant farms work. You can see the depth of the ants because they live in a two-dimensional world that's only the width of an ant.
Yeah.
So that's
We could
possible.
use the Invention Studio to make our own box.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would be too difficult.
Yeah.
And so then that that would map to, its location would map to like the condition of the soil at the time. And the environmental factors would be like increasing the mobility of the worm. And then sketch 2 would be to test the depth of fish in water. And basically if the fish,
Much easier to see through.
yeah, if the fish was near the bottom, we would like activate like turning on music, and the music would come out really softly. But then if the fish was near the top, like that would like make the volume raise, and so like the fish's position would play music relative to it. Depth.
I think more than volume, it was really a change in the kind of music.
Okay.
So like a lot bassier, heavy music when it's down at the bottom that kind of fades into different styles of music.
So,
It kind of makes like an auditory visualization of what your fish is doing in your room. So it kind of benefits the people more than the fish.
so this is called sonification, and it's actually quite a big field. Georgia Tech had a couple different sonification projects here that specifically involved fish. One of the problems with sonification, or thinking about sonification, especially in the context of this class, is that it usually treats the animals just as random values of stuff. There's little feedback that goes to the animals, and so you basically end up with like something that is purely output and using the fish as just like random seed for your project. But people haven't looked that much into how to maybe feed this back to the people. So that would be a big challenge with that project.
Okay. And so our third one was to have kind of like based on crickets, like a big container, and then on one side put like fake lettuce, like make stuff look like lettuce, so like paper in the shape of lettuce, and that they interacted with lettuce a lot, like in my project at least. And then on the other side have fake sprouts, and maybe use like string for that, and see if they're tripped by a sensor, so like the sensor will be able to tell if they're near the lettuce or if they're near the sprouts. And then they would, like if they're near the lettuce, they'd be given like real lettuce, like it'd be like dropped into the cage, and to see which one like they eventually liked better.
So if they were near the sprouts, they would be real sprouts?
Yeah, if they're near like the string that like mimics what sprouts kind of look like, and the consistency.
So it's basically trying to teach them some symbolic triggering.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
First, I would, I'm doing too much critiquing during your presentation, sorry. Continue.
Okay.
I should grab my notebook.
So, and our fourth sketch is dealing with a hamster. And so we talked about hamsters and like how they move, and then like a little hamster wheel. And so we decided to, like, the input would be the hamster actually on the wheel and moving the wheel. And if the hamster runs clockwise in the wheel, then we would output like hamster food into the cage. Whereas if the hamster ran counterclockwise, then Skittles or like any type of human food would be dispensed outside of the cage, like for the pet owner. And so we were going to try to see, like, does the hamster, like, once he figures out that he can get food, would he run based on the fact that, like, he wanted food, or would he run just for pleasure and wouldn't care if he wasn't rewarded for his behavior? So, we kind of like that one the best. Those are our sketches.
Okay, 3. Just present us one flow chart real quick. And you got 2 people, so one of you draw and one of you explain the flow chart. Rectangle.
What? Okay, so basically we start off with the hamster in the exercise wheel, and that is the input, is like the hamster being in the wheel and then the wheel eventually turning. And so then if the wheel starts turning clockwise, then the sensor will know to output hamster food. And if the wheel turns counterclockwise, then human food will be released. And then from each, we can assume that, like, if the hamster only runs clockwise, like, and that's the only time he gets into the cage, then or into the wheel, and we know that he like is running for a purpose and running he wants to be benefited from that and like get food. Whereas if he runs counterclockwise and like gets human food, then he like to run on this thing. So.
Cool. While he's doing that, show us around your storyboard.
Two.
So this is the storyboard. My hamster looks like purple, with ears look like a dog. No.
Nice.
Then the other one is like the worms in the depth section.
So with the worms, you pass this around.
Okay.
With the worms idea, what is the goal? Because you sense position of worms, and then you can move where you can alter where they move by temperature and moisture, right? What is your goal? To keep a steady state worms always at a certain depth, or what?
Also, I don't know, I thought about putting plants in there, and kind of making it like if they don't work to make the plants stay alive as well, they won't get food and they won't stay alive.
Okay.
It's really weird, but
Well, so this is why. And bringing up the plants is a good idea. This is why, for this project, I wanted to have some sort of this extra environmental hook. Because you can create these Cybiotic devices, just like our stupid pet tricks, where you have like, great, we can kind of control a thing or something. We can make the crickets go back and forth. We have that power, it's crazy, but now what? And so you can use your extra environmental input factor to kind of add the, okay, this is why, kind of thing. So maybe the plants do something to make the worms come up, or if the worms get too close, they scare the worms off, or something. So this can be you can think about your environmental factor as the kind of driving influence for how you control this feedback system. Cool. Performance?
Okay. So we have our yearly hamster.
One.
One!
Okay. So this is our wheel and this is our gerbil. I think we'll do a gerbil because they're smaller.
Okay.
So the wheel's spinning. And that's going clockwise. So then we'd have like a device on the top of the cage that would release out hamster food, which we don't have any hamster food. And so then the hamster would see that the food was released into the cage and he would be given his food. But if he went the other way, then outside of the cage, ring pops would be released and the owner would be super happy because he would get food. So, yeah. Any questions?
Why does a hamster want ring pops?
The hamster doesn't get ring pops. The hamster, like if it rotates, when it's in here, in the cage, if it's running one direction, then it is going to get food for itself. But if it's running another direction, then it's not really going to get any feedback from itself, but it is going to subconsciously be feeding the human.
So they're trying to decide if the hamster runs for food or runs for control.
I'd like to know more about the motivation for a hamster, for like the direction of like, that like without this whole food thing, like as is, why do hamsters choose one way or the other?
Yeah.
And I think that would be interesting, because maybe they're just like right-handed or something like that, or maybe they just like run towards.
Maybe you
each
could put
other.
like two wheels in the cage, if it turns one way and one wheel one way the other. Like based off of, like, you know, because if they're on opposite walls and those are facing different ways.
Or if they just choose a wheel.
Yeah.
Wheel they run on.
We have like
It's a
three
little more
wheels.
random.
Or
One wheel that goes one way, one wheel that goes the other way, one wheel that goes both ways. Just check which one.
I guess I'm not sure if gerbils or hamsters have preferences for things. Like, they don't have much autonomy over this.
So when you're trying to train a creature, you need to give them as tight of feedback as possible between their actions and then what happens in the world. So for instance, like if they run in the wheel and 5 weeks later you drop some food in, they're probably not going to build the connection that running the wheel does this. Similarly, if they run in the wheel one way and they get maybe a little bit of feedback on one side of their cage, they might not even notice that it's happening while they're over here. You might want something where, I don't know, maybe the wheel itself starts spitting food into them or something, so they can see that this is directly causal. Because otherwise there's a lot of middle inferences that they're going to have to make, which could possibly happen, but maybe would need a lot more training to do that. Another question is about if maybe gerbils always go one direction in the wheel, or there's other factors influencing it. So what you can do...
Gerbils go one direction in the wheel.
Then how do gerbils speak later on?
So an idea is
How to take care of gerbils.
you could you decouple the input device and the symbolic logic. And so one way you can do that is you have a wheel and it's clear and there's LEDs on both sides and one's always green and one's always red, but it can switch sides. Maybe this one's red and this one's green. And so then you could just say like, okay, well whenever it runs towards the green LED, then it gets food, whereas when it runs to the red one. So that way you could switch it up and it's not always having to run clockwise or counterclockwise that it gets the feedback. That's what they do with a bit of, so this field in biology, this condition of having an animal do this thing, it's called like self-administration. And so like lab rats, you give them some morphine, they press a button, they get morphine, they're going to start figuring this out. And the greater the stimulus, the quicker animals can build connections with cause and response. So like if you have very little morphine that drips over there, and it's very spatially separated with, I have to press 5 buttons to get it, they're not going to learn it as quickly as like to get a huge dose whenever they press this like crazy combination. They can learn that really quick. This is called self-administration, and there's not many cases of it with invertebrates, especially like insects. But I was working with the guy who studied one of the first sets of cases, and what they do is you want a really strong stimulus. So they put an ant, they have it tied down, they surround it in this cage that turns all one color, one really bright color. So its entire world is like green or blue. And they basically put a little syringe of some, like a little drop of water in front of it. And when it's blue, let's say it's just water. And when it's green, it also has morphine in it. And you keep doing this to them over and over again. And after a while, they get this Pavlovian response of like, oh shit, it's green. Oh, I'm gonna need that morphine. I need that morphine. And they like stick their mouth out and try to grab it, even if it doesn't have morphine in it. So it's pretty weird. But so that's another part about coupling these inputs and outputs is making your stimulus very strong. You want a very super stimulus. Cool. Other questions, critiques? So give us what was your four projects again, real quick?
We had the fish, we had the ants, we had the crickets, and we had the hamster.
Fish, ants, crickets, and gerbil. I would say of the four, the crickets is probably one of the least likely to get a robust response from, just because I'm not saying crickets can't learn, but it's going to be harder to set up a proper experiment to help them robustly learn these kind of abstract notions. Then I would say probably either the hamsters or the worms would be kind of your strongest pursuits, in my opinion. Cool. Okay. Let's go with Team Mary, Team Malaria.
Okay.
4.
Okay, well, I wrote down all the ones we went through before we came.
I would actually say use those because I kind of misunderstood the assignment and just drew things,
4.
and about half of these are only actually useful.
Okay, whatever.
So
Go.
I can go through one of these.
Woo! 4.
Do you have a sketch that's not, or am I doing all the sketches? Okay. Or am I doing all the sketches?
I can do a sketch.
Okay, do a sketch.
Okay.
You should all both have 4 sketches.
Well,
We
yeah,
all need to
we
turn
both-
these in at the end of
We
class.
both have 4 sketches.
Are they in our journal? Did we just show you our journal?
Let's take pictures of them and send them to me.
I
Like
actually
one crew did ahead of time. It was awesome.
have my phone on me, so I can't take pictures.
Okay, well, you can do
Okay,
that when you.
well, here's one picture.
You have
It's,
friends who have
I have friends who have some
pictures.
So,
And it's very
it's kind
classic.
of, kind of hard to see. But
All right,
this
ready?
is,
4. We're doing it.
This is my 4, my number 1, 4, 4, 1. This is my my slide whistle idea. So it was have some gears and like a step motor, and have the gears attached to the end of the slide whistle, and you'd be able to cause it. You could cause it to be able to replicate bird calls using like something and like a pressure sensor and those types of things. I actually forgot to put it on here. This is like a speaker, and it would call to a bird. Like it would like, call to a bird and choose like a random bird call, and then use the slide whistle to call them to it, and then see if they actually land on it.
Hold on. So there's a speaker first.
Yeah, speaker first, and then. Well,
What is the point of the slide whistle?
I'm sorry, I'm all confused. Not a speaker.
Was it a microphone?
Yeah, remember we were talking about last class where it was like, hear the bird and be like, oh, there's one of those. Let's see if I can get it to come over here.
Okay.
And I used the slide whistle. It's like it was.
So you're trying to identify specific birds.
Yes, and then see if I can get them to actually interact with this machine. But this is just kind of an idea I drew, just kind of drew until I had enough. Because Mary and I had actually gotten together. We had a good idea that that was pretty cool.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm going through all of our ideas.
Okay.
Okay, and the next one would be we would kind of base this on what animals we have available. So the next animal we thought about was obviously I have a ton of fish. So I wanted to see if we could get something interesting with my Jack Dempsey cichlid because they're actually studied because they're pretty smart. And so we were going to see if we could get it to learn how to, like, again, symbolic nature. If it touches this green thing, this lever in its water, then food is distributed. And so that's a basic feedback loop, and I think we turned that one down pretty fast. Alright, so the next animal we considered would be squirrels.
Okay, Maddie.
We're gonna bring Kirby back out, man. Don't fall from
Oh, no, not Kirby. Not a Kirby bit.
What do you think of this? Sorry, I said it wrong.
Okay, and then our next sketch involved squirrels, where we were going to again I think we kind of just wanted food or sound as an output because there seems to be a trend between these, and we want to see if we could change squirrels' behavior by using sensors such as or a pressure sensor or a PIR sensor or something to detect a squirrel's presence and then react to it by like putting food in a certain place or drawing to a piece of paper depending on where the squirrel was in the tree or something like that.
What do you mean by drawing to a piece of paper?
Like we could have again we have like a servo or some sort of something moving an arm, and if you can do like I can do in movement tracking on my camera pretty easily, and so if squirrel is over here, use green, or squirrel is over here, use red, and depending on the squirrel's movement patterns, it would draw something different.
You would like physically draw like a.
Oh, we could physically draw, or I could use processing.
Okay.
I mean, that's still, it could make it, it's kind of a static output, not quite, but
Yeah, and then you're not really getting anything back out to the.
I'm getting anything back out to the squirrel, that's true.
Yeah.
So,
But anyway, keep going. Sketches.
I guess maybe if you get over a color threshold or in the picture, if it has enough of one color, you can give it to food or something, and try to change the color again. But, then the other one, it kind of originated from Larry's bird call idea, but it trying to make it a little more, the output a little more doable, would it be, in his yard, Larry's yard, we would have a pressure sensor with a bright color that clearly indicated a little bit further away from a feeder that is operated by a servo. And if they step on the feeder, then it responds with an LED or noise and turns a wheel that lets food out, so that
For squirrels?
for squirrels and birds or whatever is in his yard. So
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
random, but
Yeah,
he actually has
birds
things
and
in
stuff.
his yard. So.
Yeah, because we were looking around, we couldn't find any birds, except maybe on the
Well, on campus, and if we wanted, we were thinking about leaving it out for a while, and you can't really
like
get
an
that on
actual installation. And you can't really leave that here because, people,
people.
not everybody's nice.
And what we were saying is, whenever it stepped on the pad, which would have some sort of symbolic like distance from the feeder, so it's not like just on the feeder that they could accidentally step on. And count, have processing or something, keep track of how many times they trigger it, to see if they learn to do it, another thing you could do is use it to count how many animals, how many squirrels and stuff are in different areas, and stuff like that. And you could even, and then we were thinking we could even combine that with my video tracking to see, like, distinguish between birds and squirrels and see which one wins if they have dominance over a pad. Because I know it when I have bird feeders, they fight each other, and the squirrels usually
Yeah,
win.
the squirrels usually win.
Yeah, but, okay, so that was 4 sketches that we kind of talked through. Did you do a flow chart?
I believe that my flowcharts might be a bit too simplistic. Oh,
Well,
I can,
Show
I can attempt to show mine, but they're
No
generally,
excuses.
No, I drew my
There's
flowchart.
Class.
I drew my
Flash
flowchart.
them out.
Mine have pseudocode.
What is that picture over there?
What is that actually?
I don't know. That's another class. They kill each other. It looks like it's a storyboard.
Let me restrain the child.
They have
She
sound
got a
effects.
leash
This is
on.
like for movies, you write what sound effects are in,
Nobody can get it right.
special effects.
No.
Where's Larry going?
I don't know.
I'm going to get my stuff. My things.
3,
The rest of the things.
2,
No, it's still 3.
4.
So,
I mean, I can do it if you want.
Okay. I still have my stuff though. Just in
Okay,
case.
well, do your flow chart.
Okay, I don't want to flowchart, but I think I may have. Okay, man.
I'll restrain this child.
So generally, I thought of these as like, instead of being like a multitude of things where you take in and out, like output and input changes, I thought it would be kind of cooler to have something that would allow the animals to change their environment by themselves by being able to learn it. But because of that, they're pretty much like one-track flowcharts. Like there's only one path. Button happens, environment changes, that kind of thing. Like with the feeder idea, it was an idea to teach them how to, there's this cool button and it gives you food. But if you can figure out that it gives you food, you can, instead of foraging around for a little while, you just have this cool self-feeder thing.
Sure.
So
This is what, and it's like that. Hamster gets food, hamster doesn't get food.
yeah, it's like literally just
The larger flow charts you're gonna need though are you're gonna have to think about each of these individual steps, and these will become more clear because it's maybe not like you're saying just like this, then food. It's this, then look over at the feeder station, count how many things are there. If there's a thing there, blah 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 blah. And so break down the thing like that.
okay.
Mary, just give us a flow chart
Oh, a flow chart?
or something.
You
Just
want
one
it?
of them. Just
fire
run
away.
it through. Larry, draw for her.
Yeah.
No, I'll just draw a flow chart.
Okay. I guess I'll just sit here and have my hand bitten off.
is like my pseudocode flowcharts, because that's how I think cursive Georgia Tech. Okay. Okay, so while running, this is like how the system responds. Nothing. If, no, nothing.
This is the sensor?
Yeah, well, this whole system, but this is, if the sensor has nothing, do nothing.
This is like a pressure pad or something.
Yeah. Yeah, right now we have a pressure pad because those things are pretty reliable.
Yeah, well, they're very, very sensitive.
If something, or what I have it as not nothing. Turn on food. Then here's another. Actually, I'm just kind of, I should be looking at my visiting one, but, turn on turn on camera.
Oh, can I be the real for you?
And if squirrel, and then if squirrel, then, if squirrel count +1.
Yep.
What, is there food being distributed? I'm like,
It's
what
not
the
like pop.
Sorry, I'm sure we all turned.
So, can you please? I think it makes it better, to be honest.
I don't know. So it's kind of like an abstraction of the system.
Yeah.
So like turn on food would obviously be indicated to rotate the servo or something, you know. But I don't know.
All right, cool. Storyboards. Pass them around real quick.
Okay.
And I know
So-
the first one. I don't know.
I did the other one for like the cybersoul type thing.
Okay.
Okay, show 'em
Although
off.
it was a kind of a different idea. I just kind of had
Like
multiple
one's
things
the
to
animal
try.
interaction and one's the actual.
So I was bored and decided to be extra fancy with mine.
I accidentally drew a middle finger, so I had to draw more fingers.
Whoops.
Okay, I don't know. Here.
So,
So it's kind of like this idea was instead of like hearing and sensing, because that would be kind of hard, it just calls for a bird every hour. Calls for a random bird that would be in like the state or the city, something like that. You know, you have your database of birds are here. Now kind of you decided beforehand. So it's like, it's been an hour. Oh, okay. Let's try and call a bird. You.
what animal is this?
Oh, that's just,
And
I
then
was a little confused on what to draw for storyboards, but this is like the pathway of how the pieces
Oh, okay.
talk to each other.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Sorry.
Yay.
Okay. Prep your performance. 1.
Oh, here,
One.
bird.
I have a pressure pad. I brought mine with me today.
Oh, well, we don't need an actual pressure pad. Let's just use this Papa
Yeah.
John's.
Exactly.
This Papa John's plate right here. I'm gonna.
I remember your lessons from the previous pressure pad. You need to make it so that
It's
whatever
actually-
creature can easily activate it.
Yes. So pressure pads.
Really wants it. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, pressure pads are kind of funny in that they are really sensitive and they're good for more than like this little square that you have. It's for things to be put on top of it.
Exactly,
You just kind
yeah.
of have this giant square.
Can I
Yeah.
borrow Urban Puff?
Yeah. Got it.
Thank you.
I'm
Alright, what do you want to be later?
I could be the feeder dropper thingy.
Okay, you
I'm
be Peter. You
I'm
over there.
the peanut gumball machine.
Okay. Maddie's birds. And I'll be the machine. So, Maddie's on the thing.
She's on the thing.
So,
Ooh.
That worked pretty well.
Yay!
It worked.
oh,
Now she
she's on
wants
the
more.
thing.
Drop another one.
Drop another one.
Oh, Maddie decided.
Oh.
Oh, another.
Ooh.
She's like, I'm not really sure what's going on.
Alright, cool.
But he's got
So,
I went.
quick feedback for
Sorry,
me.
I
Another thing, like some of the things I mentioned before, from our steward pet trick, a lot of you seem to have the whole feedback notion down. Take an input, do an output with the creature, got that. But you need to start, as you start getting ideas for this, start thinking about them very much situated in particular places. How do the places change how you're going to collect input from these creatures, how you're going to specifically give output to them? Are you going to build, so there's elaborate contraptions that try to protect squirrels from prevent them from eating bird food. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is a problem we probably have to think about. Squirrels are pretty crafty, man.
Yeah.
Stronger than a servo.
Yeah, and how are you going to weatherproof it? But then also, how is the environment going to play a role in your thing itself? Because remember, you have to have this extra sensor or something that changes or alters whatever your project does.
So maybe depending on the temperature, you give you more food.
Or something.
Yeah, or something. We
Yeah.
can think of that later.
Exactly. And remember, this needs to be this will be the smart pet tricks too. So you'll need to defend why things should interact with things. So if you choose temperature, you should have an explanation. I'm not saying you have to have all this right now, of course, because we're just trying to think things out. But just remember that all your different components you're going to need to defend in the future, as opposed to last time, like, oh man, we got crickets, let's shake them. So just remember that you'll need to make conscious decisions about everything to defend them. Yeah.
The two things I really thought were like super interesting with your ideas are like this whole like weird distance thing of can they like do something and then far away something else happens. I'm like, wait, why would an animal care about that? But then I thought like, oh, it's making like humans became more used to like long distance communication. So I thought it was kind of cool that that's kind of a possibility. If it's not sloppy, then that's kind of cool. The other thing that is really cool about your environment is that you said that was kind of like warish or like battle-ish or something like that. Like things fight over each other.
Well, squirrels and birds aren't friendly.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool if there was a way you could either incorporate that to like make them more aggressive or like make them more peaceful or something like that.
So it's a war machine, making a war machine.
Or a peace machine.
I think you should assign
A
more
big
costumes
marriage
to
token.
from
Yeah. So,
I just thought that was cool because that was like unique. So
we could discriminate against squirrels.
Wait, didn't you tell me about the crows? Wasn't that the crows you were talking
Well,
about?
crows are smart. What
Oh
about
yeah, we were
crows?
talking about there was actually an experiment at some point where the people would hand out food for quarters. They'd
Oh
fly
yeah,
the crows,
they train crows to steal money for them.
and they would put the money into the machine. It would give them some food.
Exactly.
So they would
yeah.
run around and steal all the quarters.
Yeah.
Let's
And
do
so,
that.
so one thing that's nice about the feeding and learning project is that, because you guys seem to be, especially Larry's always been interested, I want to teach the animals something. You'll be dealing with a very smart system here. So that'll be a pro. And so then finding a way to, because you can have these very spaced apart. You could have like one feeder here and then like the sensors over there, and maybe it has something doing something about it that attracts the animals over to that sensor, and then figuring out a way to let them know that that sensor will act upon this sensor will be your main challenge for that.
That'd actually be interesting. Well, I know that could actually do this. Maybe we could use wireless. Although it'd probably be a bit more power heavy. But you have this sensor here and like that sensor a foot away because we're still outside. Weatherproofing is one of those major problems. You're sitting here and there's just live wires just all around this tree. When it starts raining, things are going to go south really quick. So if you have this isolated waterproof thing here, and when it gets activated, it goes a few feet, and there's the other waterproof activated, gumball machine full of nuts. you can have those work independently and like at the same time, like communicating with each other, and it bypasses the wires on the table.
Cool. Okay, let's get these guys up here.
Okay, it's just me today.
Go for it, 18.
Yeah, we are the
I'll
18.
leave when you finish.
So we have 4 ideas. 2 of them have to do with cats. The first idea that, well, all of them actually have to do with feeding animals, because I feel like that's the best way to get input-output from animals is to feed them. Because obviously, most animals' motivation is food, especially like cats and dogs. So the first one is to have a cat, and there will be like a little button right beside a bowl of food. It'll just be a stray cat, or one of my friends has a cat that we could use. We can't find a stray. And in order for them to get the food, like the bowl will be empty, they either have to press the button. Well, the second one is for them to meow. But I was thinking, in order to get the cat to know like that, in order to get the cat to condition to that area, like that area means food, have food in the bowl originally, just so the cat will come back for more. You know what I mean? Like a few times, and then one day the bowl's empty and the button's there, and see if the cat can figure out the button is what it's for. And as far as alerting Alex and I, we're gonna hook it up to our cell phones, so when the cat eats the food, or when the cat presses the button, we get like a notification on our phone like the cat pressed the button. And then the second one for the cat, that's the first, there it is, the little slide for the food. We're probably not actually going to use the slide, it's probably just going to be some box that like the bottom collapses or something, temporarily. The second one is a squirrel. I was thinking of just having, I made this idea really late last night. I think Alex had 2 fish, 2 cat ideas, but I came up with the squirrel one, so we're talking about this one. Have like a really weak like stick with a like bag of food on it, so the squirrel chews it's like trying to get the food, so he's chewing the food off of the stick, and then it falls down to the ground. And he can either successfully get the bag to like open when it hits the ground, like if he chews it out of the bag, then the bag obviously will be broken and all the food will go down to the ground, or if he unsuccessfully does it, like the bag is so close when it hits the ground, maybe he like chews the stick or something, then there's like 2 possible options there. Is the sensor won't go off yet, won't send us a message until the bag has been broken. So either the squirrel can just be like, I'm done with this, and then he can leave, or he can try to do it again. Also, that one is a little iffy because I don't know if these squirrels are, I feel like, fairly intelligent, especially when it comes to food. I feel like it would realize that when it chews the bag and hits the ground, I think it would go down to the ground and be like, that's my food, I was keeping it there working to get it. So if see it fall, it'll probably go down and get it. Unless they're like afraid that some other predator will come get them. The second one is also the cat, and that one is triggered by meowing. I was thinking of maybe combining 2 of them, both the pedal and the meow, to see which one is easier for the cat to do. And then when our phone sends us a message, it either tells us if the cat pressed the button or the cat meowed. And then maybe eventually just getting rid of one of the features of the cat ends up like not using it. But I was thinking like the cat could just be meowing because it's not hungry, and then it gets food. So that could possibly be like a glitch in the system. But also I didn't know, like maybe we could train the cat not to meow near the food bowl unless it's hungry. So that's why I decided maybe try both and see which one works better. And then this is also just a rendition of Alex's fish servo feeder. So if I don't know what that is, fish. But it was going to be more of a, she said there was going to be like Bluetooth hooked up to it. I wasn't quite sure what she was going for there. She might have sent you what she was thinking, but it's going to be more of a fish swimming around the top, kind of like trying to get food, like at the very top of the surface, because they usually don't start, well, sometimes they do, like biting air unless they're hungry. And then here are my 3 sketches, not 3 sketches, 3, what are they, flowcharts?
3.
What time is it?
111.
Yeah.
1:11. Okay. Interest of time, can we just skip to your performance?
A performance, yes. Okay.
Awesome. Do you need an extra performing person?
Yeah, that'd be cool. I don't know if I'll positively come on. They should just give me my food bowl.
Alright, I'll go up with you.
The little kitty.
Okay.
Okay, so. Oh, I had crackers, but I'll just put the.
We have ring pops, people. Do we need food?
It's interesting. I'm gonna get my crackers. I've never had candy, but she sure wants to try. Okay, crackers and ring pops.
Okay.
Variety of nutritious foods. So this is like empty, and I have my cell phone with me. Okay.
So I'm a cat?
Yeah, so you be a cat, and and well, first you're gonna come up to it. There's gonna be food in there, so you're gonna know this means food. Meow. Okay, and then you ate the food,
Okay.
and the next time you come,
Okay.
there will be
Next day.
a button, and there's not gonna be any food, and you're gonna be like, "Where's the food?" And so you're just gonna be like, "Oh my god!" And this is why I decided to have the meowing sensor and
Meow.
button. So now it's like, oh,
Meow.
food.
Meow, 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 meow,
Because
meow,
cats
meow.
meow when they want something and it's
Meow.
not there. Okay. Meow. More food. And then I'm gonna be Alex, and I'll be like ding ding, and I get a notification like, oh, the cat meowed, you got food. So I'll do that. And then if you press, I don't know. Like I said, the cat might just get really upset and start meowing at the food sensor. So that's why I was thinking of having the meow sensor there. Or it might be like, start clawing at it 'cause I'm angry.
It should look like a little mouse.
So a note about buttons. So buttons are a very human-centric idea, and we make strong connections with them because we have these hands that float around, and we can have our own personally motivated actions with our hands. For a lot of other creatures, their arms, they use them to attack things and stuff like that, but they don't really pay that much attention to necessarily like, I'm going to use this as a stepping device to purposefully activate something. And so, I mean, it depends on the creature, but instead of thinking buttons, think about interfaces that deal with things that creatures can do on purpose, such as move their entire body to a specific location. Meowing seems to be a somewhat on purpose thing for lots of cats. If they're hungry, if they're all pissed off or whatever. Other things like, instead of a button, I've seen a project where it was a thing they kind of attack. Like you could have a mouse with just maybe a little accelerometer in it, and when they start hitting that around, then maybe it drops food. So it doesn't have to be a, try not to think as much in terms of digital on-offs as much as things that they can change in the environment in some way, and then that you can map to an on-off kind of thing like that.
I was also thinking, like what you were saying, the button might not work so well. After you said that, I was thinking maybe I could have like a sensor in the bottom of the bowl, like if the cat is sticking its face in the bowl, literally looking for some food in there. So that if that goes off, like it's like, oh, the cat touched it, then pour food on top. Now, food on top of it might set it off again. Just infinitely keep bringing out food. So I can have like a clear food bowl, and if like the cat touches the food bowl anywhere on the outside, like the dispenser or whatever it is, the cat can. But also I'm worried the cat's just gonna like knock it over, like, so I'll have to secure it.
Yeah. One other thing I want to mention about all the projects. So for this weekend, yay, big weekend.
Woo!
Still tiny bit of homework, tiny bit. One, really reread Project 3 assignment. Okay? Everybody's seen it. I emailed it to you. It's on the Dropbox. It's on the class website. Reread through it, and because it's dense, it's full of all kinds of stuff. It took me a long time to write it. Really reread it. Really think about. You're all going to fall on one side or another in this project of bringing the computery stuff into the actual living environment, like you'll probably be doing with squirrels. Probably won't be able to bring a whole bunch of birds and squirrels in the middle of our classroom. And it'd probably be good if you didn't. So you'll have to do something in their environment. And then what's nice about that is you already have a very rich space that's teeming with all kinds of other stuff that already functions in some sort of logical order with each other. So the environment is very much preset with you. Your goal then is to make a really interesting object that plays and interacts with this space. The opposite side of that is you bring these animals into weird different places, such as, we'll even say like the gerbils and stuff. They're not running around through the Amazon. Where do gerbils come from? Yeah, I don't know what their natural environment was, but at some point in time they didn't live in like neon plastic cases. And so your goal is to really focus on designing this environment for both the squirrel and if humans are involved for their interaction and how they get let know all this stuff in a similar way to the squirrels or the gerbils. One other thing I had thought about was instead of the human just getting some sort of rewards for this, what if it was, they talked about birds versus squirrels, some sort of way where it was humans had to run on a big wheel or something and also do some sort of learning, or else it would, feed the thing. I don't know. Quick aside thing. But so you really need to think about which side are you going to fall on. Are you going to be doing a lot of environmental design, or are you going to be doing a lot of this behavioral design with the thing? Good projects will do both, but there's some parts are done more for you in each side. That being said, so reread project 3. How much time do we have left?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. You have 3 teams. You 2 are together right now.
Okay.
In the next 5 minutes, I want you all to go up to this board and you're going to make your own storyboard of a different team's idea. So you 2 are doing this team's this team, you're doing those 2's.
Which one of ours do they want to do?
Let's go over here.
They can choose any of them. And then you 2 are doing one of theirs. Okay?
Yeah, for our storyboard.
Okay, how big are these
Let's do 6 boxes. And then we don't have to
Yeah,
make
get
them
6 boxes up there.
We'll draw a box.
The chalk writer? Okay, that is interesting.
Wait, you've never seen one of those?
So you want a what?
Like a
Okay.
pencil with chalk, even though it's covered in chalk.
So what they do is draw.
Okay.
So this is a gerbil.
Yeah, the gerbil thing.
Okay, he's in a cage.
Um,
And there's a wheel.
And you take their concept and you can change it if you want.
Okay, it's a gerbil.
And it's a gerbil.
Yeah, which one?
The gerbil climbs
which one
into the
is
wheel.
with your favorite for that?
Okay.
And then he runs left and things pop out.
It's like squirrels from a distance on like bird feeder,
Oh, okay.
and then they're supposed to like
And
make that
then
with you.
he runs a certain direction.
Okay, so hold on. Let me get my amazing drawing skills.
We'll be really crazy. We'll do one we'll alternate.
Okay.
So which is your story?
Mine will just be,
And then
oh,
Candy
you want,
drops out.
is it you're doing the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do the first one, which is the, I guess, the squirrel.
Okay.
Would it be the squirrel
He-
taking the food or no?
No, yeah, he like sees the bird feeder and he's like, I want food from here.
Yeah.
How about that? And then this one will just be the squirrel wanders around and then like goes on this button thing, like super obvious. Ooh, oh, sorry.
Okay, I'll just work on this one.
One of these one cows.
No, it's a bird feeder.
So this guy's all like, "Perp, I'm gonna randomly go on this colorful button thingy."
All right, the red green lights.
Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry.
Okay, keep drawing. Draw the red light.
And
Okay, actually, I want to use this for another green light. Draw it and
Oh.
then see.
Okay, I just not. So squirrel gets on the button thing, and then it just starts to food.
Yeah. Squirrel wants food.
And then the squirrel notices food, and then the squirrel gets food.
Look at my
So
magnificent
it
Wow.
drawing.
dispenses
Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful.
squirrel.
I am sure. I'm sorry.
Oh, you can't.
Oh, okay.
It's a
Or
light.
skate. Oh,
Wrong
okay.
time computer for dispensing.
Okay.
No, it's fine.
Quick, quick, quick.
But I think the light is.
I would want to make this project like a King of the Hill kind of thing. If you're gonna make it like warish, like it's either like the blue flag is up or like the red flag is up, and like they own the bird feeder, and then like depending on like who's on the button for longer or whatever.
What would be an equivalent for, so humans got a blue flag, red flag, we get that, like blue team, red team. What would be an animal equivalent? How do they
Feel
know
like
squirrels are in
Nuts
charge?
or seeds.
I don't know, that's still, I mean, a human reading.
Yeah,
We're
well,
gonna
like,
think about that.
but like these squirrel,
Oh.
there's nuts for the squirrel. And
Oh.
the squirrels were there last.
Maybe it, so like, it can act, the dispenser can actually change what kind of food's coming out.
Yeah.
And if squirrels keep visiting it, it keeps just giving nuts. So the
Yeah.
birds need to reestablish dominance, or else.
Yeah.
They're not gonna get
Because
any
it's
seeds.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what stinks is the squirrel.
Squirrels
Squirrel
do.
like the
Squirrels
seed.
do seed, yeah. Yeah. But that's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one way to do kind of a blue
It's always
flag, red
cool
flag
because it's so
thing.
fine and it gets stuck between those little things in your fingers and then it gets bigger.
Because it can sense the weight. Like there will be bird feeders that are just sensitive enough that it can hold birds' weight. But like even the, I think brown thrashers are the biggest birds in Georgia. I don't know.
Hmm.
But it can hold a brown thrasher, but not a squirrel.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's one. So you live in like North Georgia, right?
All right, cool. You guys tell us about your thing.
Okay. Gerbil cage. Gerbil gets on wheel to exercise. There's green LED on this side and red LED on this side, just ambient. Starts riding towards the green LED by chance. Green LED starts flashing and food is distributed. Jude gets off of the wheel and goes and eats the food, and the green stops flashing. And if he goes on towards the red LED, nothing happens. But the red LED will flash.
Cool.
Let's give
Ooh.
you more feedback to the dude.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be nice to be like, oh, what's going on?
It's red flashing, but
I can
nothing's
explain.
happening.
Yeah, exactly.
They could
Cool.
do it with the two wheels thing, which is two green LEDs on both sides of one wheel, two red LEDs on both sides of the other.
Oh yeah,
So that
that might make it
like
less
this wheel is
confusing.
green, this wheel is red.
Yeah.
You
And
can
then
get
also
a
just
green
switch-
wheel and
yeah.
a red wheel.
But you couldn't switch the green and red wheels.
But
See, the thing is,
could
we have
technically,
green LED. I
you
mean,
just unscrew it and then, but
well, yeah,
That
but
would-
you
that
wouldn't
would
be able to
still
do
be
that
pretty involved.
automatically, and it
Yeah,
would
it's
screw up their
true.
environment.
yeah.
And stress them out a bit. Yeah, but that would kind of give more of a super stimuli to each of its decisions. Like, oh, my whole world is blue, or my whole world is green, my whole world is red, instead of like, kind of red, kind of green.
Yeah.
Good thinking. Okay, middle team, tell us.
Okay, so they have nighttime and a little kitty shelter, and there's a little kitten and doesn't know where to go, and so it goes into a little house to look safe, and then inside, and then it's still nighttime, and then when it tricks the like sensor, we also added like a light on the front so that like people will be able to see there or something
So
like
that
that.
changed it to a cat signal.
And it also shows like puts out GPS as well. And then here is our veterinarian with his little cat cage and his GPS. And he sees the sensor going off and if there's a kitten inside. So then he uses GPS correctly and he picks up the cat and he's really happy and all is good.
Okay, the concept about what a hotel is like is very disturbing to me. This is what happens when you check in hotel. Finally, squirrels.
Squirrel! Okay. So there's a squirrel. This is the bird feeder. It's empty. The squirrel's very sad. And then here's the squirrel. He's like, what does this button do? He presses the button, and all of a sudden the food dispenser dispenses food. And the squirrel's like, oh, what is that? And so then, because it'll be, I guess, what you got to be like within a range where you could probably like hear and everything.
Yeah.
And then,
like make noise with an LED, just make it up.
yeah, it's like, here, I'll be like.
Nice. Good action line. Okay, cool.
And then the squirrel goes and gets the food.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. And they were talking about possibly having it dispense different types of foods depending on what's winning. Okay, there's one more assignment for your wonderful vacation, and that is, instead of Pokemon Snap, turn in bazillion pictures. You're going to turn in exactly one picture next Thursday is when we meet, right? Because you have no class on Tuesday. So you have 1 week to present one picture. This one picture is going to be summing up an experience that you have over this break. You need to live with your animals. I want you to try to spend as much time, at least one day, with one of your animals that you're going to try to test out. So you don't always have to be actively doing stuff with it, but be in close proximity with it. So maybe you do your homework in the woods where there's squirrels running around, and every now and then look up and notice. So you get kind of this ambient knowledge, like how I have the videos of animals sometimes up there. Okay? And you're going to take one picture summing up something you learned from this. Okay?
Okay.
Cool.
It's like a raggedy animal.
Have a good break, everybody.
Yeah, it is. Not a raggedy animal.
Hey.